Welcome to the Guiding Principles Bible Study. I'm Tawana with Destiny Education. Tonight we're going to be coming to you out of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 39. Ron, you care to do the honors?
Okay. Well, we are not of them who draw back unto perdition, but of them that believe to the saving of the soul.
You know, I really want to talk to you tonight about this children of perdition, because we have such a misunderstanding about what that means and how that works. Listen, let's go real deep into a couple of things. Just because I say it's so, doesn't make it so. Just the other day, Marjorie Taylor Greene said,
I don't worship, I worship God. God. And Jesus is my Savior.
Let me explain something to you. You cannot hate your brother whom you can see and love God whom you can't. Anytime someone tells you that they are a believer and they hate their brother, they are a liar. The Bible has told you 100 different ways. If you hate your brother whom you can see, you cannot love God whom you cannot see. That's the first thing that the Bible tells you. So when we look at these children of perdition, there's a couple of things we need to look at. Because one of the things that we love to look at is we love to look at the unchurched and the unsaved. But the reality is not so. What you are calling unchurched and what you are calling unsaved, that's you. That's not what God is necessarily calling those same people. There are people who live their life in a manner that is exemplary. They hold his laws, but they do not believe in him. And he will deem the righteousness of their heart as better than someone who sat back and told everybody that they were a believer. You see, we have to get to a place where we understand that in our finite wisdom, it's finite. There is no such thing as finite, infinite wisdom. You do not have the mind of God, and you will not have the mind of God. So to sit back and think that you can break out who the children of perdition are, who you can say is going to go to heaven or go to hell, that's judgment and it's condemnation, and it puts you in danger of hellfire. So at what point do you stop standing on your religion and you stand on who God is? Because when you take a country and you divide it based on color, which is no issue at all, let me tell you the difference between me as a black female and you as a white man. You want to know what the difference is? I handle heat better. You handle cold better. My hair doesn't allow my scalp to burn. But if I put you in 200-degree heat, you are about to turn into a strawberry. That's the difference. That is the core difference of why we have different complexions. It's about the area that we lived in. When you don't understand the history of racism, when you don't understand the history of where it originated from, if you are not willing to follow the money, then what happens? You never know. You don't know. When Gomez de Zurara was commissioned by the Portuguese king to write his book and create a group of people that could be utilized for free labor, this entire nightmare we call races was created. So let me ask you something. While you sit out there with your pitchfork and your crosses that you want to burn and you profess to love Jesus and hate your brother, let me ask you this. If you are dying on the road and the only person who comes along to save you is a black man, you want him to leave you there and let you die? Because if so, keep doing what you're doing, because eventually that's what you'll get. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. You live by the gun, you die by the gun. And if you live by the cross, the burning cross, you will die by that same burning cross. Make sure that what you are putting out there is what you want to reap. Recently, I was watching a video on YouTube, and a little 5-year-old told this woman to suck his you-know-what. Do you know the greatest destruction that this world has done is what it's done to children? It's taken away their hope. It's taken away their fight and their drive to do more. And it's created a group of people who refuse and are incapable of standing on their own. And it's created parents who want to mollycoddle them and make it look like they can't function on their own. Listen, from the time our children were young growing up, we had to be out there working with our families. What made you think that any other way was the best way? Because if all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you die before the end of the day, who's going to take care of your debilitated children? Who's going to want to take on the headache that you've created? At what point do you stop and say, enough is enough? You see, when you think about the children of perdition, you often think, oh, it's this generation of kids and they're lost. How do you think they got lost? You think they got lost on their own? You think they raised themselves? It was those of us who were in charge of making sure that they were raised in the way that they should go, so that when they were older, they would not depart from it that caused the problem. So now you got wild children. Children who are having sex at the ripe old age of 11 and consensually. You've decided that you need to have gender-free bathrooms in a school. Okay? Because you want to honor what? The decision of someone who doesn't have enough life experience to really and accurately make that decision? Tens of thousands of our children are starting permanently damaging procedures to become something that in the end they decide they don't want to be. And you think you're doing them a favor? Those of you who are doctors and sit back and say, do you want a dead daughter or a living gay son? I'm going to tell you what, how about you quit asking that question, because that puts their blood on your hands. You want to know who God holds responsible for that? He holds you. And he doesn't just hold you responsible. Every single person, every single member in that family, their blood is on your hands. If there's 5 people trying to make that decision, you now have the blood of all 5 of them, because you had the audacity to make it sound like what you were going to do was going to make it natural. There's nothing you do that is natural about that surgery. So while you sit here and you talk about the perdition kids, it is us as the adults who have given them this freedom to act and to think that they understand things that are above their ability to comprehend. Many people like to say, oh, everybody says this is end of days. And I'm going to tell you, hey, I got you. I'm with you. Like, before I ended up in this particular position, I was like, I'm not going to tell people that the end is coming, because I've been hearing that since 1973 when I was born, and my grandmother's been hearing it since 1936 when she was born. I'm with you, but I want you to understand the difference between now and then. You see, back then, it was just unrest, right? Like, you have political unrest, you have the civil rights movement, you had Reconstruction, I mean, there's a whole history of nonsense that has happened. The difference is that now we have kids who don't care. That's one of the signs of the end of days. We have men who have walked away from their families and become lovers of themselves and are like, yeah, I know I got kids, but whatever, they fine. And you ain't lifting a finger to write a $1 check for them. What, you think they got here by themselves? Number 3, our weather is insane. And the thing that breaks all the governments are these weathers, these different types of weather. Hurricanes, tornadoes that are vortexes. You got 5 tornadoes swirling inside of one, just boom, going through and annihilating cities. And you go, oh, no, that's just normal. Who you playing with right now? That ain't normal. You got places in this country that aren't supposed to have tornadoes, and tornadoes are touching down. One just touched down in Southern California not too long ago. That's how you know Jesus has the car in the garage running, getting ready to go. Because what you end up seeing are all the things he told you were coming. Those of you who think you believe, you better be careful, because you are a part of the children of perdition if you are holding hatred against your brother for any reason. If you are looking at people who are lying to you, who are deceiving you, who you know are lying and deceiving you, and that's where you choose to stand, you're equally a part of these children of perdition that you criticize. So how do you do something different? You know, it's always hard to change what you started in motion. Once you get a snowball into effect and it's rolling down that hill, there comes a point at which it's really hard, if not impossible, to stop. But the beauty is that when it comes to families, it's not always impossible. You can start teaching them the right way. It'll take longer than if you had done it from the time they were kids, but it is still possible. All things are possible through Christ, and you have to understand that. Children who are lost today can be found tomorrow, and they can become just giants in God's world. But you got to learn how to talk to people, how to be honest. Quit worrying about how people are going to feel. Listen, everybody in this world, for the most part, you got a huge percentage. We're not going to say everybody. A huge percentage of people are governed by their emotion. If you are constantly worried about how someone is going to feel, then you're going to go ahead and just offend 75% of the world. We don't have enough time to worry about 75% of the people who want to cry in their Wheaties about stuff they know nothing about. I feel like, I don't care how you feel. The fact of the matter is, truth is very black and white. It's not about feelings. Feelings are fluid. They bend with the weather. They change if it's raining. You're happy if the sun is out. You're crying if the rain is out. Learn to teach your kids to deal within the truth, to be able to hear where they have issues and allow them to grow in those issues and be real with them. Whenever you watch people pick and choose how they're going to behave around one person versus another, that's someone you need to be worried about, because they're not on the up and up. That means they're up to something. Pay attention to the signs. Notice the signs as they're happening, because gentlemen, especially you guys, you will turn a blind eye to a problem in a minute and not think twice about it. Oh, no, I never noticed that there was a problem. Because you didn't want to. And now you got families battling over stuff that they never needed to battle over to begin with. You guys want to be the leaders? God made you the leaders. Then lead. Learn to teach your children the right way. Have them work with you. Start learning. Stop talking about concepts like generational wealth, and teach your kids how to run a business. Teach your kids to become part of your family business. But that means you have to become strong enough to go out there and make it happen. Gentlemen, you don't have time to sit up in your head and do all this thinking. At what point do you stop thinking and start moving? Because it's not until you move that anything happens. How long are you going to keep blinding yourself to the struggles and the hardships of your family? How long are you going to keep pretending that you aren't already equipped to be the success that you need to be? Ladies, you have the ability. Stand on your own 2 feet. You can make it happen. Is it going to be hard? Yeah, it's going to be hard. You live in a world where there are a lot of people who want something from you. Is it worth it? No. Is it right? No, but it is what it is. Quit tripping off of it and find the people who can help you get where you want to go. Learn to understand that just because God gave men the ability to be the ones closest to him in constant communication with him doesn't mean that you don't have a place and that you don't have value. You're not an afterthought that God came to after, oh, look, I saw Adam. Now I think maybe I might make him a wife. You were planned from the beginning. How could you think that God doesn't have a purpose for you as well? Every time you keep pulling away from what it is that God has for you, what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to become one of those people who is a child of perdition. And every single time you listen to this, I want you to think of something. Wide is the road that leads to destruction, and many there be upon it. Do you honestly believe that the road to destruction doesn't have people on it that said they believed in Jesus? You see, the world would have you to think that belief is all that you need. All you have to do is believe. Here's what Jesus was saying to you. Understand that I came and I opened the door for you to have eternal life. And all I'm asking you in return is to understand that that is a price I paid for you. I'm asking you to accept my gift and live your life in the freedom that I have given you. In order to do that, your heart has to change. You can't live in the gift that Jesus gave you. You can't live without the stress and the agony and the hardship and the pain. If you can't understand that him coming into your life changes everything. Everything. If it's not changing, then you are a child of perdition. It's not like you have to stay there. Understand what those who are explaining to you have already lived through. There is a freedom that comes with Jesus that no one can understand. You know, I want to share something with you because I'm really bummed about this, but it was so funny. You can't miss it. There's a brother of mine in Christ who was helping me while we were with the Masters of Reinvention conference last week. And he was doing an example with me. And he made this comment about how nothing I said to him was of value. This is a paraphrase, it really wasn't that bad, but it was hysterical, right? So many of you would have looked at that and been offended. Do you want to know why what he said was not offensive? Because if he had been trying to do something damaging, he would have downgraded me in ways that were not so simple. It would have been a personal attack that was undeniably an attack. You see, the beauty of serving God and Jesus and having the freedom of them in your life is that you get to have fun when people have missteps. You don't have to be hurt by it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to it's a moment that the two of you just bonded. Hey, we have a memory now. We will forever be able to laugh about that, at least for the next, 12 months. And then after 12 months, it may not be so funny anymore. Maybe then after 5 years, it will be funny. But whatever, it gives you guys an opportunity as you're building a friendship, as you're building a camaraderie, as you're building an interaction where you'll be able to go back and forth between each other. Hey, I need this. What does this look like? Do you know anything about this? And you have that open door policy and that freedom to know, you know what? If I make a mistake, this person isn't going to hold it against me. I don't know about y'all, but I got a number of people, if I accidentally say something, not only do they pack up their stuff and run, they start talking about me like I'm a dog behind my back. They aren't big enough to say it to my face, but they will always do it behind my back. Those are your children of perdition. If I got to do you harm because of something that you didn't mean, I'm the one who's evil. If somebody is trying to do you harm, you're not going to miss it. It's going to be clear. When this gentleman made his statement, it was very clear that it was not to cause harm. You got to train your ear by what Jesus has told you. Be slow to anger. If he told you to be slow to anger, then why you jumping it off on everything that happens? Relax. It really isn't that serious. When you understand that, now you can change your life. Now you can look at that wide road that leads to destruction and say, you know what, I might not want to be here. What I'm thinking is right really might not be right. I'm going to go back the other way. It's not too late. As long as you have breath in your lungs, it is not too late. I'll see you next Friday.